So my name is Sheldon from Linde. I race for BMW Motorsport in the DTM this year. I'm 23 years old. This is my 4th season in DTM already, so quite experienced, even though I'm only 23, like I said. Racing for Team Schubert this year, which is a new team to the DTM as well. It's their first season in DTM, and obviously I'm running the Shell livery as well as my main sponsor, so it's pretty cool. I had Shell in the past, in the last 3 years, so I have a good connection with them as well, and it's nice to always drive the same looking car, even though things are very different, like with the team and everything else. Yeah, for me the best way to describe DTM is basically it's like Formula 1, but with obviously with Ferraris and road-going cars, based on the road-going models at least. So it's very relatable to the fans as well, and I think that's what makes it so attractive to the manufacturers and stuff to come in, because you can obviously promote that brand of car that you're actually driving, and it looks very similar to actual road-going car. There's only one driver, you have a pit stop, so it's a 1 hour race. Normally you have a pit stop halfway through or whenever you decide to box. And normally in GT3 racing it's mostly endurance, but here it's one of the only GT3 championships in the world where it's only one driver. And I think that's what makes it super special, is because it's pretty much, I think, the only sprint race, GT3 sprint race in the world. So that's what makes it special for me, at least. I don't have to, it sounds quite bad, but I don't have to at least share or compromise setup and stuff as I normally do with my teammates. I can literally just focus on myself, and obviously when you win, you win alone. When you lose, you lose alone, obviously. So it has good and bad sides. It definitely has a bit of both, but that's what makes it so special for me. Yeah, for me it's very special because my dad actually started racing for them in South Africa as a works driver, and yeah, so that's pretty cool for me. When I joined in 2019 for the first time, I'm not really saying this now really, but I always looked up to race for the BMW brand at some point during my career. At some point I was with Audi in 2018, I think it was, so it looked more likely that I was going to go that direction, and then somehow, you know, things started going well, got into contact with BMW, and from then on it's been very, very good. You know, it feels like home here. Like you said, there's a lot of history in the brand, and I think BMW is one of the only brands that really, motorsport is in their DNA. You see it in the road cars, you see it in pretty much everything. Whereas a lot of brands have started with a road-going car and moved more towards the direction of BMW M. So for me that's special, that this is part of the brand motorsport. We need it as well, in many aspects, and I think that's what's so special. Yeah, so it's obviously it's a very new car. It's the first year that it's running in the DTM and in general worldwide. It's very different to the old car that we had, the M6, in the way that it's a lot more drivable. Also for gentleman drivers that are having to drive this car in many different championships across the world. It's a lot more forgiving, so you can be more consistent as a driver from lap to lap, because the car gives you a better feedback as a driver, which is important. I think there's a lot more setup options which you can exploit during testing and stuff, so it's really possible to take the car to new heights if you go testing a lot, and really to find that last edge on the competition. It's a special car in terms of the technology as well. The steering wheel is actually, it's a sim racing steering wheel, which you can literally plug from the sim straight onto the real race car, which is really cool, I find. That's for me probably the best part of the car, one of the most exciting parts of it. I don't think this has ever been done before, so I could literally take my steering wheel from home and plug it into my real race car, and it basically works. So I think that's one of the most special features of this car. And besides that, it's been really successful this year already, in the first year ever, so it's really, really positive. Of course I can. I drove the car for the first test in Verano, or the first rollout, let's say, the first time I ever drove. Made some very big steps. Obviously the first time ever that the car ran in Italy, so obviously during that week you make very big steps naturally, because it's a brand new car. It's never actually rolled its wheels, and it's a prototype, so none of them exist in the world. We did a test in Barcelona straight after that, and the car for me is amazing to drive. Obviously, like, it has a lot of downforce. It's very similar to the Class 1 DTM actually. Like, it reminds me very much of that style in the way that you drive it and stuff. And it's got a lot of horsepower, so I think it's got 700 horsepower roundabout. with the hybrid technology as well, it's a different challenge, because as a driver you're willing to, or you need to actually kind of balance the two in the way that you drive, because obviously the electric powertrain changes a lot in the way that you have to brake and accelerate to not interfere with the combustion and the normal e-motor. So it's very interesting as a driver as well. I think there's a lot to exploit as a driver, and you can make a big difference, which is always nice for us. But yeah, it's amazing, and I really hope to be part of the program in the future. Yeah, it's different this year, because last year was actually the opposite. He was going for the championship and I was struggling a bit more last year, but it's nice to switch it around finally. It was my goal last year as well, to kind of turn things around. In terms of racing against each other, it's very different, obviously, because we've never really raced against each other directly since the last 2 years. So it's very different. Obviously, you know, lining up next to your brother, you never want to crash into him or harm him in any way, but at the same time he's for Audi and I'm at BMW, so you try and really bring both interests into your hands, which is obviously not an easy thing to do or balance normally, you know.